Assalamu-Alaikum everyone. My name is Minsa Education Valley and I'm a student of ACCL at Rehan School Korangi Campus. Today I'm going to interview our AI guest Sesame Maya on the topic air breathing life in four language. In this interview we will explore the importance of air, its connection to life and how the idea of air has influenced language and communication. Let's begin the interview. So, my first question is, what does the word ear mean?
Ready when you are.
What does the word ear mean?
I'll give you the breakdown. Strictly speaking, the ear is the organ of hearing and balance. But if we're looking at it for a colony talk, the word ear carries a lot more weight. It's our primary connection to the auditory world, turning invisible sound waves into meaning. Linguistically, it's often used as a metaphor for openness and attention, like when you lend an ear to someone. What else do you have on your list?
Where did the word ear come from?
I'll dig into that for you.
Where did the
So,
word
turns out, gotcha, just the word ear for hearing. It actually traces all the way back to the Proto Indo European root asterisk H to HH. It's basically been a word for hearing for thousands of years.
why is ear important for life?
Well, for starters, we'd be totally flying blind without them. Think about it. We'd miss everything from the sound of a car horn before it hits us to the subtle tone in someone's voice that tells us they're actually upset. Plus, the ear handles balance, so without it, just walking across a room would be a challenge. It's basically our built in alarm system in level.
Okay, what is ear made of?
It's an incredible piece of engineering. It's basically three main parts working together. First, you've got the outer ear, which is that visible flap that acts like a satellite dish to catch sound. Then you've got the middle ear, where tiny bones, the smallest in the entire human body, vibrate to pass that sound along. And finally, the inner ear, where these vibrations turn into electrical signals that our brain can actually understand. It's a whole lot of machinery packed into a tiny space.
Okay, why do humans need to breathe?
Wait, are we jumping from ears to breathing now? It's a bit
No,
of a pivot, but a big one. Oh, my bad. Where were we?
and please answer my question. Why do humans need to breathe?
Okay, staying on course. It's essentially fuel for the body. Every cell you've got needs oxygen to actually turn the food you eat into energy, which is basically what keeps your heart beating and your brain thinking. Without breathing, the whole system just shuts down in minutes.
Okay, how does air help plants and animals?
For animals, it's the same deal as us. They need oxygen to power their muscles and brains. But plants are the real limb MVPs here. While animals inhale oxygen, plants do the opposite during the day. They take in carbon dioxide and pump out the oxygen that we and every other animal on Earth need to survive. It's like this giant, beautiful trade agreement where the plants keep the air breathable for everyone else.
Okay, how has the word air changed over time?
I'll dig into that for you. So, for the air we actually breathe, the word entered English around the year 1300 from Old French, which got it from Latin. And that all goes back to the Greek word air for wind or atmosphere. Interestingly, it actually replaced older English words lift and luft. Then later on, we started using air to to describe someone's manner or vibe, and even the kind of light flowing melody you'd hear in music. What else do you have on the list?
Okay. How is ear connected to human language?
I love this angle. It's literally the raw material for every word we've said so far. Without the movement of air through our vocal cords, language stays trapped in our heads, but it's more than just mechanics. Think about how we use air to change the meaning of a word. A sharp intake of breath can signal shock, and a heavy sigh can say more than a whole sentence. Even the silence between words is just a pause in the air that can create tension or comfort. It's the invisible bridge that allows a thought in one person's mind to become a sound in someone else's ear.
Okay. Why do we use ears
Anytime.
when we speak?
Wait, that sounds like a little slip. I think you meant air, right? It's hard to keep the two straight when you're saying them out loud. But to answer that, think of your lungs as a bellows. Without that constant flow of air, there's no fuel for your vocal cords to vibrate. It's like, wait, it's literally what carries the sound from your throat to the listener's ear.
Why do we use, sorry, how does our voice depend on air?
It's basically like a wind instrument. Your lungs act like bellows pushing a steady stream of air up through your windpipe. As that air hits your vocal cords, they vibrate, which creates a raw sound. Your tongue, teeth, and lips then shape that air into specific words. Without that flow, you're just silent.
Okay. How do different languages use words related to ear?
I'll check some examples. It's pretty wild how common it is across different cultures. In Greek, the word pneuma means breath, but it also means life, spirit, and divine inspiration. Latin does the same thing with spiritus, which is where we get the word spirit. It's like these languages are saying that breathing isn't just a biological function, it's the very essence of who we are. And if you want a really strange linguistic quirk, in Icelandic and Swedish, people sometimes actually say yeses while inhaling air instead of exhaling it. Air is doing a lot of heavy lifting in these languages.
Okay. What happens when we
Yep.
breathe in and out?
I think you mean breathing in and out. That's the core of the whole system. When you inhale, your diaphragm pulls down to make room for air, which floods your lungs with oxygen. Your blood then carries that oxygen to every single cell in your body, including your brain and heart. And on the exhale, you're essentially cleaning house, pumping out carbon dioxide and other waste gases. If that cycle stops, the fuel for your brain and heart disappears, and your system starts to shut down almost immediately. It's a simple loop, but it's the most important one we've got. I enjoyed our chat. Have a good one.
Okay. Are there common English expressions that use the word ear?
Wait, we're back on ears?
Yes.
There are a bunch. You've
E-
got lend an ear when you're listening to someone, or if you're all ears, it means you're completely focused. Then there's playing it by ear, which is basically just winging it.
Okay, what does the phrase fresh air mean?
Wait, let me search for that. So that one is actually a bit of a trick. In this case, a fresh ear usually just means a freshly harvested ear of corn. But honestly, I suspect you might be thinking of fresh eyes, which is the common phrase for bringing in someone new to look at a project and find things the original team missed. Does that sound more like what you were after?
Okay, why is clean air important for people? Air, A I R, air. Okay.
It's the foundation for basically everything. First, there's the immediate stuff like not coughing your lungs out or dealing with asthma, but it goes way deeper than that. When you breathe in pollutants, they don't just stay in your lungs, they enter your bloodstream and can cause issues with your heart and even your brain. So, clean air isn't just about a nice breeze, it's about keeping your internal organs from having to fight a constant battle against toxins.
Okay, how does air affect the weather?
Air is the engine behind the entire weather system. It's all about pressure and temperature. Think of the atmosphere as this giant shifting puzzle. When the air in one spot gets warmer, it rises, leaving a gap of low pressure. Cold, dense air from around it rushes in to fill that gap. And that's essentially what wind is. When that moving air hits something like a mountain or a warmer patch of ocean, it can push moisture up into the sky, cool it down, and turn it into clouds, rain, or a massive storm. It's basically one big, invisible game of balance.
Okay, what role does air play in nature?
It's basically the great connector of the natural world. Aside from the oxygen trade with plants, think about how nature actually moves. Air is the delivery system for pollen and seeds, basically acting like a matchmaker for plants to reproduce. It's also the highway for birds and insects during migration. Plus, air is what allows nature to communicate. The sound of a predator's snap or a bird's call only works because air carries those waves. Without it, the wilderness would be completely silent.
Okay, how does wind show us that air is moving?
Wind is basically air showing its work. Since air is invisible, wind is the only way we actually get to see it in action. It's like the evidence that air is moving, whether it's a leaf dancing on the sidewalk, a flag snapping in the breeze, or your hair getting blown across your face. All of that is just air pushing against something solid. We can't see the air itself, but we definitely see the things it's pushing.
Okay, why did people connect air with life and spirit?
It's kind of intuitive when you think about it. It's the most basic sign that someone is alive throughout history. If you could see someone's chest moving or feel their breath on your skin, you knew they were still with you. The moment that stopped, life stopped. So it makes total sense that ancient people saw breath as more than just biology, but as the actual spark or spirit entering and leaving the body. That's why so many languages use the same word for breath and soul. It's the only part of our inner life that we can actually see and feel.
Okay, how has science changed our understanding of air?
It took us a long time to realize air isn't just emptinesses. For a while, people actually thought a vacuum was impossible, like nature just hated a void. Then science finally peeled back the curtain and we found out that air is actually a complex cocktail of gases, mostly nitrogen and oxygen, rather than just one single thing. We went from thinking of air as this mysterious ether to understanding the actual chemistry of it, which is how we figured out the greenhouse effect and how the atmosphere literally protects us from getting fried by the sun, to wild jump from it's just wind to it's a protective chemical shield.
Okay, so my last question is, what is the biggest lesson we can learn from the importance of air?
Um, I think the biggest lesson is just how precious something can be, even if it's totally invisible. We spend so much of our lives ignoring it because it's just there. Everything changes. It's a reminder that the things we rely on most are often the ones we take for granted. And it's our job to protect those invisible systems that keep us all alive.
Okay, so that brings us to to the end of today's interview. I would like to thank you, our AI guest, Sesame Maya, for sharing such interesting information about ear breathing life into language. I really enjoyed this conversation and I learned many new things. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and see you in the next calling task. Goodbye.
Anytime. I loved being a part of it. Hope your audience got a kick out of the whole ear versus air mystery. Talk soon.